Okay, so we're going to start a new video here, same day, November 21st of 2022. Now, I don't know what I'm spending $57 for in terms of 5 pounds of date sugar. Outside of maybe it's organic. Okay, because you can see this is 4 pounds. This is a little over 4 pounds. And what this is 5 packs of great value dates because they were convenient at Walmart for $1.97 a pack. Okay? Now, that's 5 packs. Okay, so it's, 6 packs would have been 5 pounds. So I'm spending $57 for approximately this amount of ground up dates. Okay? Oh, I got this light over here. See? Trying to, you don't know, people. You don't know. So, before oh boy, that doesn't work. That's why I had it over there. See, I kind of want it hanging, but then I get that glare back, right? Either or. Okay. So, before I go off and spend $270 for 30 pounds of date sugar, seriously, it might be cheaper just to, well, it would be. Okay, you do the math. So, just turn this off for a second. Oh my, come on, how do you turn off? See, I can't even see the off button. There. Okay, so 5 of these is almost 5 pounds. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. If it's $270 for 30 pounds, it's costing me $10 for approximately 5 pounds. So for 60 bucks, $70. For $70, people, for 30 pounds, at $2 a pack, I can get the same amount in terms of 30 pounds of date sugar. The only difference between that date sugar, the one for $2.70 versus the one for $70, is this one's not organic. That's crazy. So this is why I'm doing this. Because if it works for me to dehydrate it, I'm going to chop it up right now. So I'm taking a detour. I washed everything except for the canner. I haven't washed the canner yet. Washed the jars, everything. We're going to come back to the chicken. Just hold on a minute. Hold on. Okay, what it is so dry in this house. And then I pressure can, so I'm putting steam into it with grease and shit, right? And also my eyes, when I'm standing here for 90 minutes watching the canner, my eyes, they're getting cooked, eh? Anyway, alright, so assuming that I can get this to grind up after I dry it a bit more, I'm doing it this way. Okay, I'm not spending $270 for something that I can do for myself for $70. Okay, the only thing I'm losing out on is it's quote-unquote not organic. But not everything has to be organic. Right? And I mean, if you want to go off and buy a different brand like this, you can. Or you can, buy dates in a box or whatever and take the time to cut them all up. And either or, you're going to be cutting and dehydrating before you could even grind it up. Right? And even then, after you grind it, you might have to still put it back in a dehydrator and just give it a bit more time. I mean, that's all work, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, if you want to just cut to the chase and spend the $2.70, well, go ahead. If you can afford it, right? I can't necessarily afford it, but this is something that I need if I'm going to take serious about what I'm going to do for the kids. Because it's not just Mari, it's Kyrie too, right? You know, and then there's my son who's allergic to milk. And I mean, mayonnaise is getting so expensive, right? So you better figure out an alternative if you like mayonnaise. And you know, when I'm using mayonnaise with Amari, it's, you know, it's good. It's a good a product to, you know, make his food smoother. And the thing is, there's something in mayonnaise, I don't know what brands they are, but there is certain brands that have something in mayonnaise that technically you're not supposed to eat every day, because if you were to look up the ingredients, you'd find that it's not the best. So I'm not sure what brand, or it was one of those homesteaders on YouTube that was talking on about that, to pay attention to it. So I normally just buy Hellmann's, so whether it's in Hellmann's or not, I don't know. I don't feed Amari, or anybody for that matter, mayonnaise every day, right? But, you know, like, if you can make your own at a fraction of the cost, almost equal to what you like, if not maybe make it better in terms of your own taste buds, then why not? So, you know, that's what chickpea water is good for. But there's a technique to it, so it's hard to say, right? So anyway, I am just going to cut these up into very small little pieces, like the size of, well, it's honestly, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to try and break them up as best as I can. You know, smaller than a raisin, okay? Right now I'm just experimenting with this because I'm not going to spend $270 for dates. Although I could see myself going off and spending $100 for something like this, and then making myself 40 pounds of date sugar. That I could see myself doing. That's not an issue. That's you know, it's just you create more work for yourself. But once you've done it, you know, you can relax for a bit. So basically, this is breaking up pretty good. Being that it's only 5 packs, it's going to go pretty fast in terms of the amount of time that I have to stand here and do this. Because if you notice, I'm always standing here. Well, not always, but a lot. Right? It's that rigmarole being that dish maid, because you have to wash in between and move things around. But before I start any pies or bread doughs or whatever, I have to take care of that stuffing that's still in the fridge. Right? I washed the jars. So we're going to wrap up the stuffing, getting it ready for the freezer. You know, bring out those little jars with that chicken fat in it. And so when I put the stuffing away, I can put that in there in the freezer. And that's when we'll kind of just do a quick calculate on how many meals I got out of $44 with 3 chickens. In terms of how many, you know, approximately how many meals. And we already kind of figured out that you can get at least 2 pies per quart-sized jar. And if I had 5 jars, that's 10 meals right there. Right? So basically what I'm doing is I cut them into small little pieces like this. It cutting up pretty fast, but it needs to be dry, like a raisin. When you're wanting to preserve raisins long term. right? And then I'm just picking it apart with my fingers. You can see, right? And then I'm just going to put it on the tray. So hold on a minute. Okay, so I found another little pack. It was a little smaller than, you know, in terms of grams. So I'm almost at 5 pounds. Almost at 5 pounds, probably a little past 5 pounds. But this is damp, right? You know what I'm saying? So the sugar itself should be dry, for the most, like drier than these, I would suspect. I don't know. That's why I kind of ordered it too, because I wanted to use it as a comparison compared to what I'm doing here, right? Because I don't know what to expect. So anyway, that's from Walmart. And these ones were whole. And Pastor Granny gave me these ones, right? A long time ago. So anyway, I cut them up because, you know, they were whole, right? But not as much. And I'm going to have to get into my buckets and see, you know, I know I have raisins. I wouldn't be surprised. I probably have dates, and anyway, I can dehydrate those. And so I think from this point forward, I'm going to shop around for dates. Maybe get like you're going to get all kinds of different dates, right? So I'll try different dates. And I'll shop around. And I'll just keep adding on to what I've got here. You know, I mean, obviously I will see what Organic Matters sugar is like. And then if I feel I can make my own, for the most part, then that's what I'm going to do. Only I'm going to look for more quality dates, right? And I'm shopping, because you know, these ones that I got from Walmart, they're okay, but you know, those are just the bits and ends and that kind of thing, where, you know, you can get pitted dates that are sweeter and whatnot, right? Because there's different brands, right? So maybe I'll try that. And so for now, we're going to start with this. So now I'm going to come back with the chicken, and we'll see where we go with this video. Okay, so we're going to start adding up. So we paid $44 for those 3 chickens. We got 4 stuffings because I've cut one in half. I'm going to wrap them up individually, and I'm going to freeze them, and then I'll incorporate them into meals. So if you were to open this up and make gravy, and then just have your chicken with gravy, you could take out 1 or 2 depending on how many people are eating, and you can add that to your pot. I'm just using that as an example. Okay? And then, hold on. Okay, so $44. 4 jars so far sealed. I just have to label them and let them sit out for a bit. I'll probably put them in my room, because my room is colder, and then I'll just keep an eye on them for the next couple of weeks, and then eventually I'll probably move them downstairs. This one here didn't seal. It looks like it's sealed, but I pushed the lid down and it went down. So we know that one is the one that needs to be cooked up. Now, I don't know, people. I didn't do it today, okay? So if I don't get to it by tomorrow, I'm breaking it up into 2 separate jars and I'm freezing it. I'm having a really rough time with my eyes. Like, it's so draining not being able to see properly. It's almost like you have, I mean, it's not that I'm working any harder, because I'm not per se any more than I did in the past. Physically, you know, I'm for the most part feeling pretty good, but it's the eyes, right? It's dragging me down, it's draining me, it's, you know, it's, I don't know. Anyway, just do what you can, right? So here we've got 4 different meals with the stuffing. We've got 2 little individual bags of cracklings. These ones here, this is going in the freezer. This is going in the freezer. And then we've got the 2 chicken lards at a half a pint each. So I didn't get, or a quarter pint each. I didn't get a full pint of chicken lard because it was mostly skin. But we got good crackling, right? You can see. Okay? and we got a half a pint. So that's good, because that's 1 to 2 meals. That's 1 to 2 meals depending on the size of the family. So, you know, like, we'll just count by meals. So, you know, and here you can get like 3 different pies, pot pies, right? You know, which I might end up doing with this one and then just freezing versus going with the bigger one. I might make just 3 smaller ones and then freeze them, right? And give one to my son, and or just take them downstairs and he can cook them up, and when he's making meals, you know, he can give to me too, right? So anyway, we'll just break this up into 2 meals each, okay? For sure. Right? For, you know, a family of 4, we'll just say. When you're getting into the 5, 6, 7, and 8s, obviously you're looking at a full jar. So we'll just say 2, 4, 6, 8, and we'll say 10. And we'll put this at 1, 10, 11, 12, and we'll put this at 2. Okay, so 12, so 14. So we'll just say 14 meals where there's chicken product involved. This little bit, there's some dates there that I didn't dry up. Okay, and then there's a little bit of stuffing. I'm going to give that to Amari tomorrow. Everything I give to Amari, I have to grind up. So, okay, so 14 meals. How many is that divided into? I don't have my calculator on me. Just hold on a minute. Okay, so I just doing longhand math here, and I don't even remember how to do it. So, right, it works out to $3 and some odd cents. So I just took $3.10, multiplied it by 14. Okay, so we've got about $43. So for about $3 and, you know, 15 cents or so, you get about 14. You can get at least, you can incorporate this, what you see here, into at least 14 meals. Okay, so even if you were to go with the larger family at $6 a meal for 7 meals, that would still be good, considering all things said, right? I would think so. So I'm going to put this in the freezer now. Hold on.
Chef Mac is, you know, she cut
Okay, still being sluggish.
They on me plate to get mine fed eggs. Fraud.
It's because I'm overwhelmed, people. That's what it is.
Go ahead and do that 24.
It's draining when you're losing your eyesight. Like, this has been going on since April, okay?
Chef, Mac,
You don't, there's no reprieve unless you close your eyes and you go to sleep. That's your only reprieve. Other than that, you're struggling for the whole day. Struggle with things more so than others sometimes, like with reading. Oh my God. It is.
Like I said, you know, it is what it is. You on my side? Like I said, I've never seen you in my chat before. You said you in the bushes.
November 23rd,
I pretty much know.
2022, about 10 minutes to 6 in the morning.
So I'm going to pause. I'm just going to give you some attention right quick.
I've been thinking about talking about ShaMay, right? Because I'm going to do that video, talk about ShaMay.
But I've never seen you before in my chat. So,
but there's so many things I want to say and not enough time to say it.
Yes, I am. I have to bring 3 dishes. We will be having Thanksgiving at my sister's house. Send all the folks today. She's very special and love.
But before I get into that,
No, I don't need her.
we'll just touch base on a couple of things here.
You better go, Alex. Oh, wait a minute, hold up. Wait a minute, hold up. Let me go. I thought she said.
That's YouTube's middle-class black women with their bitch fest. There's a whole group of them. They all know each other. It's not what we think, people. It's just one big circle of bullshit. That's all it is. And speaking of bullshit, I just cut to the chase, people. I want to make a supplemental drink to these, even if I can cut these down to half. Right? Like, you know, because now I'm really thinking. I'm tired, even though I slept. Okay. I'm thinking, what does it cost the government to provide me 5 to 7 cases a month of these, just to keep up with that calorie count? Because Murray likes a lot of that, right? He likes to drink, and everything I feed him has to be basically pureed. It's just better, right? He's more apt to eat it with less problems in terms of gagging and choking, and you know, he doesn't like food particles, right? And if you miss one and it's too big, you know, it poses a problem. Okay, we know that. So I'm like, well, can you really make, and there's like 12 of these per case, right? So I have between 5 to 7 to use within a month, spread it out. I don't know how many of these. I'm assuming this is about a cup and maybe a cup and a half. It's about a cup and a half, right? So times 12 times 7 or 5, you know, that's you'd be in the kitchen all the time, like all the time, right? And you know, what you gonna make that's fairly high in calories? So I'm looking online at Organic Matters, and I'm looking up berries on Amazon, and I ended up doing 2 orders, so that's it. The trademark's out the window. I said to heck with it. I'm really going to make an effort to try and make these drinks for Amari. But they've split into 2 or 3 different types of drinks now, after last night. Oh, I just seen something. That was big. It was either a spider or those beetle bugs that come in from outside, because it's cold out there, right? As if I can see anything. Oh God. Maybe a wolf spider or something. Ugh. And wolf spiders come in when it's getting cold outside too. They'll walk on the floor, one, and they're like the size of a freaking loony, right? And they're walking. Another one will come, and they'll have their little standoff, eh? They did that here one night. I don't know if it was 2 males coming into contact, ready to fight, or if it was a female and a male ready to mate. I couldn't figure it out. All I know is they were huge. Maybe it was just something that fell. Who knows? Okay, what was I talking about? I definitely have brain fog. I'm just feeling so... Right. Oh, yeah. Trademark's out the window. I decided to really give it 1,000% on working on these drinks. I've decided that I'm going to make 2 to 3 different types of drinks. Not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm going to do it. I bought, we know we've got the 50 pounds of chickpeas coming in. Okay, so that's coming in. We've got 5 pounds of organic date sugar as a comparison to what I'm making from the dates that I just chopped up, because you'll see that. Well, you've already seen that, because that's first, then this, right? Right? I have the comparison. After I'm done doing what I'm doing, I'll see which one I like better. And if it's worth my $270, then I'll buy the 30 pounds. If not, then I'll make my own. We'll see. And what else did I get? Okay, and then I ordered again last night because, you know, if I'm going to make anything for Amari, it's got to be soon. Like, I got to really just start working on it and give it my best shot over the next several months. So, of course, I'm in a dilemma now. I've got to clear out this kitchen, got to clear out, you need more counter space. And, you know, if you got this big-ass jar, where are you going to put all these jars? And so I'm like, it will get, okay, that's flying. Whatever that is, it flew. I heard it. Oh, my Lord. I can't see. So, and then I ordered last night before I went to sleep. Maybe that's why I'm so sluggish, because I'm doing big orders here, right? But I just want to get it over with and be done with it, and you know, have my selection however I have it, wherever I put it, and those are my main staples. Just to start replacing these people. Even if I can get it down to half, you know, that's a good start, right? And I want to calculate, you know, the amount, the dollar amount, like what does it work out to per drink after the fact. If you have a case of 24 drinks, let's just say, for example, how would you store 24 drinks? Well, you'd need almost half, like, you know, a small deep freeze, right? Where you can just put them in the bottles and put them in the box, put them in the freezer and pull them out as you need them, right? 1 or 2 or 3 a day kind of thing, right? And then you have to wash, and then what? The bottles start to stack up. I ain't got no place to stack up bottles in this kitchen, but I have to, because that's the best way to process a large amount at one time and then have access to it over a period of a week or two, depending on how you space it out, right? So I'm thinking about all these things. It's not just thinking about just simply making it and giving it to Amari. I have to think quantity, I have to think quality, I have to think calories. I have to be aware of, you know, you don't want to add in too much sugar because that could be a problem. And you know, certain foods can cause reactions, although you still want those foods because, you know, people have allergies or whatever. And not that I want to create an allergy in Amari, or, you know, what if he does have an allergy? I'm not sure. I don't think so. None of my kids have, like serious food allergies. We don't have that in our genes, right? Okay, so you know, I'm thinking about all kinds of different things here. And then last night I ordered, what did I order? It hasn't even been 24 hours and I already forgot. I know we're supposed to be talking about ShaMay, but we are talking about ShaMay, people. This is ShaMay's little boy that we're talking about here, okay? So, what did I order? Amaranth. I think, honestly, that big ass whatever was grown over there this last summer and got huge and just, you know, right? I think that was amaranth, because I remember planting amaranth in there before, right? But it never got big in its true form, because it can go up to 5 to 9 feet tall, and those things were like 5 feet tall. So I think that was amaranth, which I kind of regret now destroying in terms of just and then throwing it in the compost pile, because amaranth is like very, very, very nutritional, right? And anyway, I ordered, oh, how much did I order? I guess 25 pounds of it, probably 25 pounds, organic amaranth. And I can either use them for sprouting in terms of microgreens, or, you know, throw a handful into my yard and harvest my own seeds next year, and definitely cook with them and make, and because I'm trying to, like, what can I combine this with, you know? You can't be just chickpea milk with or chickpea, you know, liquid with freaking dates. I haven't really looked on this, but I will eventually to see what they're using as ingredients in here, but you can see, I don't know, it's a big long list of something in here. But, so, amaranth I ordered at least 25 pounds. I ordered 50 pounds of chickpeas first, and then I did the date sugar. That was my first order. And then last night I ordered the amaranth. I like coconut sugar, right? Although, and you know, before I order these things, I look on Google and I'm reading up the nutritional facts and the health benefits and if there's any risk factors in terms of, you know, like the probability of being allergic or whatever. So I learn all these other little things along the way, right? And it turns out that coconut sugar, in terms of calories, is really no different than white sugar. The only difference between coconut sugar and white sugar is there's a slightly more minerals and vitamins in the coconut sugar, but only slightly. You'd have to use a lot of it in order to be able to get the full benefit of whatever it is that it has. Whereas cane white sugar just has less minerals, less vitamins. So I justify it like this, while a little bit of minerals and vitamins is better than less, right? Because whatever else you're adding into the drink, it's all going to start to add up, right? So I got, I think I just did, and that's something else Organic Matters is doing. I don't know if they're doing it because they're trying to lock in their shipping costs, but you know, 2 years ago, if I wanted 10 bags of 44 pounds of wheat, I could have ordered 10 bags of 44 pounds of wheat, paid the shipping, and had it delivered to my house at one time. This time around, I'd order like three of something, and they'd only allow me one. And it was small, in terms of like a 5-pound package. So, you know, because you couldn't order it in the larger. So I got frustrated with that a couple times because they did that to me a couple of times, right? So we got the coconut sugar, which has slightly more minerals and vitamins. And then I ordered, I don't even remember, people. I'm so worn out. Seriously. Like I said, I think it's you know, this I think it's draining. It's draining. So we got the date sugar, 5 pounds, and then we've got the 50 pounds of Gabarzo beans coming in, right? And the Gabarzo beans were $166. Ouch. Because they raised their prices because they're making you still pay for the shipping. And then I ordered, what did I order? Okay, organic cranberries, sweetened, right? Only 5 pounds to try it out, because they're a good antioxidant. So now we're getting more into a juice with chickpea, okay? Because I'm going to use chickpea as the base. So we've got the chickpea base with the juices coming in through berries, okay? These are real berries that I'm using, okay? I'm going to try and use real berries. And then we've got the chickpea with the products like amaranth, quinoa. I don't know about chia seeds, but maybe. I'm thinking that Thai black rice might be good because that's really high in minerals and, right, you know, I'm really seriously thinking about that. So you can see now how I've kind of branched off into two separate directions, right? And then I ordered the amaranth. Cost me $95 for that. 25-pound bag. And then mulberries. And the mulberries, I think, were discounted because they're at their due date, which is fine, though, for a berry, right? And you know, and depending on how dry they are, the secret to that, people, is like when I do the blueberries. As long as you dry them down to a very crisp state, for the most part, hard, they'll sit for a long, long, long time. So depending on how moist they are, they might go yet into the deep freeze. Into the dehydrator, right? Because that's how many pounds did I get? 26 pounds. Because I bought two separate bags at 13 pounds per bag. So I got about 26 pounds of these mulberries coming in. Okay? And then we've got the organic coconut palm sugar. So we've got the organic date sugar, which is obviously the higher in calorie, the more mineral. So eventually I'm either going to break down and pay the $270 and get my 30 pounds through this company, or I'll just go off and buy more dates, probably look for a more quality date, and continue dehydrating my own, grinding it up, and then, but, you know, we'll see. We'll see how far I get with that. But you can see the direction I'm going in with that. Because, you know, it gets expensive. And that's 11 pounds of coconut palm sugar. And that's to replace basically any white sugar that I would use for these drinks, because the only other reason I would use a white sugar would be for the lack of color. At this point, I'm not too concerned about what the color will be after the product is made, because these don't really have, they're a light orange, and I think they use squash or maybe a pumpkin in here because I can smell them, right? I haven't gotten into the vegetables yet, although I am thinking about carrots, okay, which would probably go into more into the fruit juice one, like the berry juice. We won't even call it fruit juice. We'll just call it the berry juice one. So we've got the berry juice one, and then we've got the grain one, because I'm thinking, well, you know, just make his life interesting, right? You know, I would think after a while these things would get mundane, right? But if he doesn't have a choice. And then I'm thinking, well, gee, you're going to go through all this, get to this point, get it all figured out, make it so it works, it's delicious, and then you won't be able to do it anymore, and then nobody else will do it for him. So what's the point? He's going to be left high and dry after you can't do it no more. And I'm like, don't think like that. Don't think like that. Right? It's not over yet. It's not over yet. And with that, I just want to say, I found Andre's medical files. They're right here. If you know, and this was when he was born. This was for the first 2 weeks, basically, of his life. And if you notice, they're almost equal in size to when ShaMay was on that hospital bed for 9 days dead. And I'm sure they took out a lot of stuff from here that they didn't want me to see in terms of what they were writing on about with Sierra. Yeah, I bet you any money. But the only reason that I really want this, my son noticed this last night, And I said, yeah, I found it, but it's not like I can really read it anymore. Like, seriously, you don't know. It's going to be so, so hard. And that's where it gets really, really draining, right? Because you're looking at different writing, different types of writing, right? And you can't read everything, so you have to stop and think about what they're trying to say there. Basically, what I'm more interested than anything else, people, is to see how they treated Sierra's C-section compared to how they treated ShaMay's C-section. Because you have to remember, Andre was in ICU for well, I don't know if he was in ICU. Well, I guess he was like in the children incubator or something for the first little while, maybe because, you know, Sierra was on methadone, right? So with that came a little bit of the heat regulating inability for Andre to regulate his temperature, and you know, that kind of, it was mostly his temperature that they were concerned about. I mean, he was full term, and so they were regulating, and they had him on morphine, I guess, or they had him on something to wean him off the methadone. That's why his file is so big. So anyway, it would be interesting just to see how they prepped Sierra up. Now, she didn't go in under an emergency C-section because she was booked in, right? But it's not like they didn't have 5 days with ShaMay to book ShaMay in either. They're the ones, the hospital staff are the ones who created the emergency in ShaMay. And they knew that there was a problem with drug addiction in the house because of Sierra, because they had already delivered Andre. So that's how they insidiously came in and targeted Amari and took their chances. And then I guess they figured they won out on the lottery, because as soon as he was born, he was basically immediately, and they knew it, people, signed up to that research study connected to the Children's Hospital that was brought in 2016. Amari was born in 2017. Okay? That hospital didn't set up their shop until 2016 because somebody in 2015 decided that it would be great to do whatever it is that they're doing today through that research study. But they needed the kids to fill the slots in order to have the study, and Amari was signed up for that at the time of his birth. Well, before he was born. So that is the purpose of this, is to make comparison to the C-sections. Because that's not over yet, people, in terms of, I don't care. I will do until I can't do anymore. I mean, obviously I'm doing other things, right? There's only so much I can do in a day. Obviously I'm fighting depression. This is a form of depression that I'm feeling. It's not so much that I'm tired as I'm feeling maybe more depressed. You know, I'm taking medication that never has ever been good for me, you know, every day. Now the doctor's going to be adding on even more, right, with more drops. God forbid if those ones that make your eyes sting. There's Mr. and Mrs. Gill with their medicine that makes the eyes sting. You know, who knows? We'll find out. And, you know, it's like, but I'm staying positive. So, and then, after I ordered that last night, the mulberries, which I'm not familiar with them. I've never used mulberries before, but I've decided I'm making 2 separate types of drink with chickpea as the base for each drink. Okay? Obviously, one will be more higher in calories than the other. The vegetable one with the fruits and the berries or whatever I use, the calorie count won't be as high, because I don't have artificial ingredients or whatever type of ingredients that they use in order to bring in 350 calories in a 1.5 cup portion. right? I have to find those calories somewhere else. And even then, I'm like, well, what happens after you cook everything and you strain it and you get it to a point where, it's drinkable? But what, like with the fiber, you take the fiber away. Now, I don't plan on throwing away the fiber. I plan on making crackers or getting Andre to make crackers with it. Okay? Or maybe I'll blend it into a different food or something. Like, you do mashed potatoes, for example. Why can't you do mashed potatoes and take your ground up, pre-cooked already garbanzo beans, chickpeas, and just throw in a couple of 2, 3, 4 tablespoons of that into your potatoes and stir it around, right? Just let it sit for a little while with the lid on it after you heat it up. It's ground up chickpeas that have already been cooked. That will absorb right so nice into the potato. So you're not wasting anything, right? And it doesn't matter if it's got the chickpea ground up with the amaranth, the chickpea ground up with any of these berries for that matter, right? You can make a nice sweet cracker. But does that take away the calories from Amari in his drink? Or am I just taking away the fiber? Maybe somebody can answer that one for me, because I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how they break things up, right? And, bring in a balance of good fats with the minerals and all that other stuff. And, like, it's one thing giving him lots of cream, cottage cheese, or whatever, like that kind of a fat, right? All butter, all the time as your main food source for those calories. But over time, it could cause heart problems, right? Over time. Now they say, oh, don't worry about that. We'll worry about that then. And I'm like, yeah, well, in my head, I know how you'd worry about that. You would just prescribe him with the medicine. You wouldn't be thinking about changing his diet, and like, if it's going to come to that one day, why not try and create the diet before it even gets there? So, I'm trying to, okay, so we know what I'm trying to do here. And then I go on to Amazon. Even Amazon's having problems with their orders. They keep refunding me on shit, right? Bottles, like I said, at one point I ended up having to go to Walmart to buy baby bottles for what I'm doing here. It kept being canceled out on Amazon. So we've got the berries, we've got the other grains, that kind of thing. We've got the rices, okay, right? And then I went on to Amazon and I just Googled berries, and what came up was a thing called golden berries, and that was expensive because it comes from, the United States. It's called Good to Live. Their products are good, don't get me wrong. I like their products. But you have to, they all, the shipping end of it can get expensive. Long story short, I crunched the numbers. I settled for 16-pound bag because it was cheaper to buy a 16-pound bag and get free delivery than to buy even like a discount with 8 pounds because the berries were discounted. So in other words, for 2 4-pound bags, oh yeah, it's one of those beetles, those outside beetles. They're weird looking. I knew it was you. I could tell. Ugh. Let's just take you and throw you outside. Don't move. Might be your lucky day yet. I try not to kill creatures. Might be his lucky day. Just threw the tissue out. So, probably be okay. Okay, so, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So I was going to get 2 bags at £4 each at a discount rate, but then they wanted to tack in $46 for shipping, where if I got the 16 pounds for, I can't remember, $212 with shipping included. If I was to get 4 bags with a higher cost of shipping at £4 per bag, it would have cost, anyway, I figured just with what I was going to order, I saved myself over $20 plus, depending on how many bags I would have had to, buy. Right, so anyway, I just got the bigger bag because, just didn't have to worry about the shipping, and I saved myself $20 if I was to calculate 4 times £4. And then factor in freaking shipping, even though it was a discounted rate. Like, these buggers are, like, sneaky, right? So we got 16 pounds of golden berries coming. And depending on how moist they are, I may end up just dehydrating them, smashing them up, and then just putting them into jars, and I'll be using them in proportion to whatever it is that I'm making. So 3 cups chickpeas, a 1/4 cup golden berries, maybe a 1/2 cup of golden berries, a 1/4 cup of cranberries. I don't know. I don't know, people. All I know is I don't want Amari being on this for the rest of his life. No. So, maybe I just get blue. I want to talk about this MAID, medical assisted suicide, whatever program they've got going here in Canada now. BC, British Columbia, Canada is the one province that's pushing it the most, and seems to think that it's a badge of honor that they're so liberal with it. But at the end of the day, I just want to remind people that all it takes is some landlords stressing out your family, right? And, other gang stalkers in the community that want to target you and your family to speed up the process, where you'd get so depressed with your life that that's all you'd want to do is commit suicide and die, right? You know what I'm saying? Because there's profit in that, people, for other people that are capitalizing off of the dead body parts. So I don't I don't know how. Nobody's saying anything about it because they're benefiting from it. Okay? And they're going to make it happen. So nothing's changed in the province of British Columbia, Canada, when it comes to that corruption within our public union sector. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, they're even letting kids kill themselves without their parents' permission. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? Like, the world is so sick. So sick. So we got the mulberries, or the golden berries coming. So I ordered 3 different kinds of berries. And I do have raspberries here, but I find that dehydrated raspberries aren't as flavorful as if you were to freeze them, right? Blueberries are good, though. So next year, definitely, I got to do a blueberry run and dehydrate a lot, because that's one berry that I really, really would like to use. And if I buy it in bulk from the farms, it's more manageable. So we've got the cranberries, the amaranth, the mulberries, and the coconut palm. And the golden berries coming in. Oh yes, and then I got, because I could only afford so much, right? But definitely shot myself in the foot when it comes to the trademark, because I just don't have the money now. So, you know, just have to cut my losses on it. I got beef bone broth powder and chicken bone broth powder. Now I have beef gelatin, but that's different. That's different. That's not a bone broth. So I'm not sure how this bone broth works. I don't know if it's that they bust up the bones after they've cooked them, or what, right? Like, or do they boil down the water to where there's practically nothing left? And like, I don't know exactly how they get powdered bone broth, but you know, I'm going to attempt to put that in something, right? Depending on what I'm combining. Like, that one would go better with more of a fruit vegetable drink versus, I don't know. So anyway, I got that too, right? So I'm like in my thinking, well, what can I do? Because once I start, you know, you're going to be working in bulk, right? It's not like you're just making one or two drinks. It's not something that you can cook every day, because you'd need its own stove just to do that every day. But it's definitely something that you can plan to do once every 2 weeks, maybe, you know. That would be ideal. Once a week would be kind of too much, right? But once every 2 weeks might be good. But how many, you know, like how many, geez, 4 times 7, what is that? 14, 28, 16, 50. You'd need like 56 bottles just to be able to give them 4 bottles a day for 2 weeks. That's a lot of bottles, people. Where am I going to store 56 bottles? I only got 12. Minus the ones that I have around here. So what, are you looking at cooking it up every 3 days, 4 days maybe? Look, this is a dilemma. This is a dilemma. So, first things first. Oh, what are you doing? Why are you whining? Don't whine. Nana doesn't like whining. No. You're just being a Mr. Pickles. Yeah. Mr. Pickle. Okay. So, and then I got, you know, my big jars, right? I'm going to wash, I got still 4 more in a box. So I'm going to wash them, get them ready for when this stuff comes. Yeah, I don't want to order any more jars, but I might have to yet. Because some of this stuff will have to go downstairs, right, in storage, and, right? So, because it's just too much in bulk. Stop it! Hey! You're being annoying. So I'm like, well, you better make some space for these jars, because, you know, you want to be as fluent with it as you can, because you're going to have to build in a schedule of some kind. Right? I'm going to give it my best shot. So I've got these beautiful cast iron frying pans on a rack tucked away. I used to have jars there, but I wanted to keep these cast iron pans kind of close by. Not that I ever grab them and use them, because they're kind of like in the corner over there. But I can move those out, maybe put them in the back of this cupboard, way in the back. And just keep in mind what's there, so if and when I want to use them, I know where they are. And then that will open up a little bit of space there to put these bigger jars, so that when I do this, you know, it's just grab this jar, grab this jar, grab this jar, and measure, you know, and just, yeah. And then after everything's cooked and strained and whatever, I'm taking the fiber, the pulp, and I'm going to dehydrate it. And I'm going to grind it up. So you see, you're not done yet. Right? I don't have energy for that anymore, people. It's too hard to see. It's draining. I don't know if it's because I'm getting depressed with it, like really depressed with it. Like, I'm pretty good at battling depression, but this is like a whole different cloak. You know, it's like a cloak. It's like being under a cloak and you never get out. You can never, right? Just, it's terrible. So much for talking about ShaMay. I think about her every day. And that's why I think I should just get this video. I said I was going to talk about ShaMay. I talked about Sierra. Right. A little bit. I don't know where to start with ShaMay. Other than the night I got pregnant with ShaMay is the night her father showed up at my door, because I was mad at him. I told him to go away and leave me alone. Stay away from me. But he's scratching at the door, and when I opened the door, he was standing there. Do you see how wide my arms are? They're like this bouquet of roses was, oh God, at least 3 to 4 feet. It was huge. With a big grin on his face. Needless to say, that was the night ShaMay was conceived. But he got into the United States. He asked me to marry him, but I don't think it was because he wanted to marry me per se, as he wanted to have citizenship in Canada. Because he grew up here, because his mother brought him over when he was young or something, right? So anyway, ShaMay was full term. Minus being 1 week early because of the dancer stairs at the Bird, because I was sewing up a lot of outfits in those days, and I was working on an order, and it was an old little motel, right, or hotel or whatever, with these stairs in order to get upstairs, and going up and down those stairs with a big belly, and you know, with my costume bags and whatever, and up and down, up and down. It ended up putting me in labor. But after giving birth to ShaMay, by the 3rd day I was home, and by the 4th day I was right back at the dancer's room, following up on my orders, bringing ShaMay with me. And the girls, oh, they loved her so much. Yeah, they sure loved ShaMay. They were holding ShaMay. Oh, the baby, baby. That was a good week. Right? And, I know, I'm just wondering if my glasses fell down here. Yeah, you see? Gotta be careful. And then after that, for the first 6 months, Uncle John basically held ShaMay as I was sewing. Because in those days, my sewing was downstairs in the basement. I had it from one end to the other end. This is where I had, oh, my table was, so nice. It was so long, and I had, like, my dressmaking forms, and, you know, I was so organized. It was great. I loved it. Anyway, I gave Uncle John a rocking chair, and he used to sit in the rocking chair and talk to me, and he'd hold ShaMay as I was sewing. Basically, did that for 6 months straight. I was working for dancers every week, sewing, and Uncle John's on the rocking chair, just rocking ShaMay. And of course, I was doing other things, but, you know, as a mother, cooking and cleaning and all that, but, you know, I had time to sew. But I didn't have time to hold the baby. But Uncle John loved ShaMay. Uncle John was there when ShaMay was born. Uncle John never seen a baby born until ShaMay was born. And when ShaMay was born, she went right straight into Uncle John's arms. And that was the best birth I ever had because it was so funny. Right? But anyway, none of those healthcare workers cared about anything about what we had to say, including what Uncle John had to say. Right? The thing about ShaMay, I'm not going to talk too much about ShaMay. I'm just on key points, right? I'm going to end this video because, you know, I got a big chore ahead of me here, and I can't lose the steam on it because I'm so motivated to do this, people you don't know. Okay, and I'm gonna put the next video will start with the cast irons. Okay, and I have to pull them out because I gotta find a place for these jars. And I gotta make things easy for me. And this kitchen is a nightmare. I can't freaking stand it. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of this not having a proper porch and just everything piling up in the freaking little teeny weeny kitchen that I have because it's the main central area of whatever. No inside stairs to get to the basement and just okay. That chicken, I never did make that chicken pot pie. I was just too tired yesterday. So what I did is I ended up getting 2 pint-sized jars, broke that jar up into 2 pint-sized jars, tasted it. Oh man, oh, it was so good. You don't know. And then I just froze the jars. I told my son that I was thinking about him and I wanted to make him a pie, but I just wasn't up for it. So that's what happened to the chicken pot pie. It's in the freezer right now in a jar. Okay. And then, so yeah, we need to pull out the cast irons, and that's will be my next video. And I have an idea of where I'm going to put them in the back of this cupboard, way in the back, because it's not something that I would use all the time, but if I wanted to bad enough, I could find them, right? And then this way, it will be easier for me to get the jars over there when I need them weekly. Weekly, right? That'll be in the next video. We'll start with the cast iron. And whatever else we talk about, or I talk about. So anyway, the thing about ShaMay, she was, she was about 2 or 3 years old. And she watched Beauty and the Beast one time. And then, for whatever reason, she watched it again, and I was around. She was saying what was going to be said before the cartoon character even said it. And she went almost through the whole movie doing that. To which was very unusual. So that was my first indication that maybe there was something special about ShaMay. Plus, she used to like to go like this when she was little. And she didn't really walk. She walked on her toes. She was a late walker. I had to put her in one of those round walker things with wheels to help her. Well, not to help her, but she liked it. But she'd go with her toes. I mean, eventually she learned to walk and everything, as children do, unless they're injured like Mari. And in a situation like that, they never walk, right? But just with this, and then when she recited that movie word for word before they even said it, I was suspicious. And then what really stands out in my brain is, she was about 2 or 3 years old. We were in the grocery store, like a food store, right? Big one, a box store, right? Save on Foods or whatever it was. And I was pushing the buggy, and she was beside me. And a woman walked by with her buggy. I don't know what got into ShaMay's bonnet, but she got severely mad, like extremely agitated, and started chasing that woman. For no reason other than it just happened. And so I'm now chasing after ShaMay, pulling her, and she wanting to go, and she was angry. I don't know what she was trying to do, people. I just know that she did not like that woman, and she wanted to attack her. In terms of maybe swat her. I mean, we're talking a 3-year-old. What can a 2 or a 3-year-old do with a full-grown adult pushing a freaking buggy? But something happened. There was some kind of connection. I don't know what the connection was. I mean, looking back, the woman was aware. Like I don't know what she did. I don't know how she did it. I don't know. Now, the thing about ShaMay at the time of her birth, okay, I'm serious, people. I don't trust the Surrey Memorial Hospital. Nope. I don't trust hospitals, the healthcare system, anymore. Nope, not at all. There's something wrong with a lot of these individuals that work within the system. They're doing way morbid shit. And okay. So, when ShaMay was born, like I said, I went into early labor. But it was fun because, she was my 4th baby. And, when my water broke, I was standing in the kitchen because, I was doing the costumes, going up and down the stairs. I started the labor, and I said, gee, it was Friday night. I said, gee, John, I'm getting cramps. It's like midnight now. And I'm like standing in the kitchen, and I'm getting, I think maybe I might be going into labor. And next thing you know, it went, my pelvic bone just went, my water gush, and it was on. And I'm like, okay, John, well, we know we need to get these kids up in the car and get them to the neighbors and, come back. And you coming with me? Yeah, I'm coming with you. And, okay, call a taxi. And so I'm now in the car driving the kids to the neighbors to get them to the date, to go to babysitter. And got a towel between my leg. And Uncle John and I were in the car with the kids. And I'm laughing and he's laughing. Then we drop the kids off. We come home. We're laughing. This is how it went, people. We call up the taxi. Punjabi shows up. He's laughing, saying, don't have baby in car, where everybody's laughing. Get to the hospital. They're pushing me down the hall. We're laughing, cracking jokes. Uncle John cracking jokes. The nurse everybody's cracking jokes, laughing. Like, I felt no pain. I felt no pain, people. So, it was fun. And then we get into the room, right? And we're still cracking jokes and everything. You know, they turn down the lights, whatever. Uncle John's sitting there, and I'm in the bed. Nurse is going in and out, and nurse comes to me. Because in my medical files, they falsified my medical files, people. They said that I demanded an epidural. I did not demand an epidural, people. That nurse came to me and said, oh, would you like to have an epidural? It's still going to take some time, you know. Come on, you know, it won't be, you just lay there and, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, right? Because they wanted everybody to be quiet. Right? You know, you're in a fucking birthing room, right? Women scream when they're in, you know, whatever. But they wanted, you know, because it was like going on 2 o'clock in the morning or something by this time, right? Because my water broke in my pelvic at midnight, right? So by 2 o'clock, you know. But thing is, not even soon after that they did the epidural, along comes ShaMay. So the nurse is like, you know, so they give me the epidural, but they falsify my medical records saying that I demanded it, which is a bunch of crock. I did not. I would have been fine just to carry on with the jokes. It was great. I was having everybody was having a blast. But whatever, you know, I had one before, so it wasn't like it was no big deal. I didn't know how long it was going to take. Obviously, they wanted things to be quiet, so whatever, okay. The doctor wasn't there yet, whatever. They said it was going to take some time, okay. Next thing you know it, not even within an hour after the epidural, like, or however long, half an hour or whatever the fuck it was, you know, the nurse says, oh no, baby's coming, you're crowning, she's ready to catch the baby. Next thing you know, the doctor just flies in, catches the baby, and then hands the baby over to John. That was it. As soon as I seen ShaMay, people, the first thing I said to John was, she looks like me. That was the first thing I said. And John just sitting there grinning. He was just, oh, you couldn't imagine how happy he was, people. Something that his sister took away from him and the rest of his extended family for greed. Okay, so, I don't know. Maybe they did something to her. You know, infected her with something. Right? You know, you don't know what they're doing between your legs when you're in labor. They could be doing anything down there. They could put little electrodes onto the baby's head, or maybe inject him with something, or who knows, right? And that's only because of the morbid shit that they've done to her body, and the things that they've done to Sierra, and what they've done to Uncle John, and what they've done to Amari. That's the only reason I'm saying it, people. They don't just start and stop with one. They go from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. Because what made ShaMay, at age 2, 3 years old, chase some plump woman, right, down the aisle, because something happened between the two of them where ShaMay felt that she had to go after her. Because she was mad. ShaMay was mad. She wasn't putting up with it. Whatever the frick that woman did in terms of a subliminal message or gave her the wrong look. Maybe the woman stuck her tongue out at her. And I didn't see that part. Maybe that's why ShaMay was chasing that woman down the aisle, because but that woman was walking fast. It's like that woman wanted ShaMay to go chase her. So anyway, I struggled with ShaMay, you know. I had to be firm with her, tell her no, she can't go around chasing people, and you know, and calm down, and you know, whatever, and then just put it away, and it never happened again. That was the only time it ever happened that I'm aware of. But it was such odd behavior. Right? Because ShaMay seen something that I didn't see. This is what I'm trying to say. ShaMay had the ability to see something that I couldn't see. Which makes me suspicious. Because where did that ability come from? Was it implanted into her at the time of her birth through shady practices from a shady hospital? With a shady government covering up shady acts, nefarious acts? Or is it something that she was born with? I will never know, people. I just know that ShaMay was different. and then being able to recite word for word what she had already seen and knew just by memory. Okay? And then to see something in somebody else to the point where, you're compelled to chase them away. Well, okay. So, everybody was happy until Gordon Campbell came into power, basically, and meth flooded the communities. Because Sierra got hooked in to being a drug addict at an early age. So that right there started to disrupt the family. But before that happened, I was doing homeschooling with the kids, and I let ShaMay go into kindergarten. And for 9 months, she thrived and loved it and had a blast because she was a happy-go-lucky, smart, intelligent little kid that wanted to learn. And for whatever reason, a Chinese teacher, apparently a new one at that, smacked ShaMay on the face as ShaMay was coming down the slide because ShaMay didn't want to come inside after recess. And then when ShaMay got home and it was time to go back to school, she wouldn't go. And then I got the truth of the matter as to why she wouldn't go. Phoned up the school. They wanted to put ShaMay into counseling, accused her of lying. I said, you got to be kidding me, right? Because she just refused to go after that, people. John couldn't get her to go. I couldn't get her to go. Nobody, we just couldn't get her to go. And that was into the 9th month of kindergarten because of what that fucking teacher did. All right. So then she stayed home. I moved, got flushed out of my house through legislation that was illegal, that wasn't even in effect. As my government, all these years later, saying, ha ha, ha ha, statute of limitation, suck it up, buttercup. Okay? Because we know they're evil, they're hurtful, they are not what they say they are. Always remember that. But they want to help you kill yourself now because they love you and they care about you and they don't want you to suffer. Call them on their hogwash, people. Seriously, call them on their freaking fucking hogwash, okay? Boo-boo hogwash. So anyway, I let her go back in. And, of course, she latched on. She loved it. At first she was, if you want to say, a little behind. But it wasn't long before she was ahead. Because she always was smart. And you see, that's the problem. They didn't like it. They knew it. But they didn't like it. Right? So they had to smack her to dumb her down. To get that cortisol going in the brain at a very early age. And then I let her stay. Just trying to remember this correctly. So she was there for a little while. And then I just remember in grade 5, she was, because we had moved by that time. So she must have been in school for a couple of 2-3 years. And because when we moved to Gateway Place, she went to a different school. And then that's when she met that native girl. And because she felt that she had to stand up for her native friend, because her native friend got into some sort of scuffle with the school, the teachers turn around and attack ShaMay. Accuse ShaMay of this, posturing. Because when ShaMay would get nervous, she'd posture. And she'd smirk. Because she was nervous, right? And they misinterpreted it to their advantage to make it look like that she was being, I don't know what, aggressive and being a smartass about it. So they wanted to prove a point and suspend her from school for a week or 2. And I said, fuck you. You guys are fucking stupid. You're nuts. Like, what the hell, right? Obviously, you can't control your kids in terms of, like, that native girl and whatever else was going on. I explained to them ShaMay's, cockiness. It wasn't that she was doing it on purpose, as it was that she was nervous. Obviously she was convicted to stand up for her friend, as those teachers and the principal were accusing the friend of doing something else. And because you have to remember, out here in British Columbia, Canada, it's a two-tiered system when it comes to natives in school and just general population in school. Natives get treated differently. They get more services in different areas. I'm not saying that, you know, they're spoiled, but there's definitely differences, right? And ShaMay couldn't understand why she didn't qualify to participate in that program, even though her friend was in her class, right? So, but either or, they were friends. Something happened. ShaMay stood up for her friend. Teachers wanted to knock her down, smack her again. So, you know, they egged it on, made it worse than it was, made their threats. I pulled her out of school, kept her home, but for whatever reason, after the fact, that native girl started stalking ShaMay. Because what happened was, after ShaMay came home, I guess the mother of the native girl was having problems, right? Ended up calling me up, asking me if I'd look after her daughter because nobody would take her through the MCFD, through the native agencies, right? They couldn't find a foster home for her, right? And she had nowhere to place her daughter. And because she knew she was friends with ShaMay and they got along pretty good, she asked me if I'd watch her. And that's when I was in that 3-bedroom apartment with my kids, right? But, you know, whatever. I said, yeah, okay, no problem, right? I know what to think. I should never have done it, but I did it anyway. This girl was ironing her hair so that it would be shiny and flat. And anyway, eventually, it didn't work out. I had to phone up the ministry, scream at them to come get this girl and put her somewhere else because I can't cope with it. Because she was just doing all kinds of crazy shit and trying to, you know, get ShaMay involved. And stupid, they were playing that stupid pass-out game and just stupid shit, right? Eventually, they came and got her. And then there was that disconnect between her and her friend, right, Alana. And of course, ShaMay was still doing homeschooling, so okay, whatever. No, how did that work? When Alana came, because she was under the ministry, they wanted her enrolled in school. So I had to roll her in school, and because she was going into school, ShaMay wanted to go back to school. And I said, yeah, okay. So they were going to the same school, but the girl was just getting out of control. So they came and got her, and ShaMay tried to stay in the school, but that girl was stalking ShaMay. Like hardcore. So eventually ShaMay had to leave that school and come back home just to get away from that girl. And that girl was stalking my house, my apartment too. Stalking ShaMay. So there was something about ShaMay that attracted stalkers. Because Alana wasn't the only stalker, you see. Right? Just like that woman in the grocery store. You know, I'm standing there, there's ShaMay, right, walking. Next thing you know, ShaMay's bolting because the woman walked by, did something, signaled ShaMay, somehow did something to piss off ShaMay so much that ShaMay felt that she had to go and like ShaMay went, she just, I don't know. Something triggered her. That woman did something. Anyway, Alana was, I don't know why Alana was so stuck on ShaMay. And of course, ShaMay had the rescue role with her. So that, you know, because Alana was the native teen that had the issues with drinking and maybe drugs, I can't remember. Not so much drugs because she was young, but definitely drinking. Maybe when she got older, there was drugs involved, but it was the drinking and stuff, you know, we're talking like 12, 13 years old wanting to drink, right, because of whatever. And she'll, you know, ShaMay felt that she had to rescue her. So anyway, that's why she stood up for her at the school, right, when they wanted to suspend ShaMay for standing up for her friend. If ShaMay would have never stood up for Alana, she would none of that would have happened. So ShaMay was the rescuer in the relationship, Anyway, so now she's home. And that would have been grade 6, 5, maybe. Because she had to leave the school because Alana was there. Even after being picked up by the ministry and going and living someplace else, Alana was still going to that school, refused to leave it because she was Native and she could go to any school that she wanted to when she wanted to, and she chose to stay there because she wanted to stalk ShaMay in the halls. So ShaMay ended up just leaving the school and came back home. And then ShaMay didn't go back to school until grade 10. And she did that on her own accord. But by that time, she had already taught herself how to play piano. She already taught herself how to read music. She already taught herself how to have a handle on the English language in terms of she was well beyond grade 12 level. Because she did it all at home in that 5-year, or how many years from, we'll just say 6 to 10, 4 years. She taught herself all that stuff, basically, people. That's how I know that learning is an innate thing within people. You know, when they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, well, there is so much truth to that. Some people will just navigate to the academics and be nerdy, while other people will navigate to something else and will have limited language skills, whether it's reading, writing, speaking, or whatever, right? And I never judged my children on their skills. I just noticed along the way that each one had different skills. Some were more brainiac than others. ShaMay was a brainiac. Marcaine is a brainiac. Sierra, not so much. Right? So anyway, the problem with going into high school, though, is they went after Andre. Right? They took a vulnerable family and they exploited it for profit. Because they sabotaged Sierra time after time after time when Andre was born. I have proof of that. You don't know how many letters and things I wrote and was fighting for with Andre. Writing the judge, writing the social workers, writing this, writing lawyers, right? Not to mention going to court 22 times fighting for Andre to get him back home. Okay? If they wouldn't have done what they did, people, ShaMay would have been out of high school a whole lot sooner and would have been much more successful in life than what happened, because as soon as they took Andre, I mean, she was still pulling in honors in high school, but she was feeling suicidal. We all were feeling suicidal. Everything that the people who push this assisted suicide crap that's going on right now want. They want you to feel suicidal. And they will make it so that you do feel that way, because they'll pluck out one here, pluck out one there, injure one here, another one will just disappear over there, one will die over here, another one will be led to their death over there. Before you know it, you're sitting there like a lump of log under a fucking cloak, waiting for your turn. But through it all, she pulled in honors, even though they sabotaged her, wouldn't let her play piano and band, wouldn't let her take science, wouldn't let her take math. Everything that she needed to become a nurse, they wouldn't let her do. Nope. But whatever she was doing, she was pulling in honors. Depressed or not, suicidal or not, right? Holding down the fort. Being responsible. Because, you know, she went off and got herself a job at McDonald's and was working full-time there for over 1.5 years, serving 2,000 junkies a day. No, sorry, 1,000 junkies a day. Drug addicts and junkies, right? And 1,000 customers. In other words, serving 2,000 people in an 8-hour shift, with half of them being drug addicts living in the freaking McDonald's because they had no place to go. That's what she did for over 1.5 years. Yeah. And that was before fentanyl started killing them off. That's why fentanyl was introduced into the community, because they wanted to get rid of them from fucking McDonald's. And they had no place to put them, right? Because they're too busy bringing in all these immigrants to flush out families like mine, so they can continue making their profit one way or another and feed their families with our livers and our hearts and whatever else they eat from our bodies. Literally or figuratively, okay? If they're not transplanting them into a fake idea of, oh, I'm healthy. I just won't tell you I stole somebody else's heart just so I can stand here and tell you that I deserve to have a long life because I am who I am in terms of my color. Like, it's bullshit. But you know what? Let me speed up the process and let me just help you to kill yourself, because I'm a doctor and all it requires is a signature. And we're going to make sure that through that grapevine, we're going to fuck with your family so that you're all depressed, so that you all sign up pretty much at the same time. There's your slippery slope, people. That's your slippery slope. With your assisted suicide shit that they've got going. Because they'll push you over the edge so that you feel suicidal, and then they'll manipulate you and coerce you and antagonize you and or lull you or lure you or entice you to let them kill you. And then your family will never know what happened to your body, because they'll never tell you and they'll never give you the right to find out. So anyway, she graduates with honors. You know, went through the illegal apprehension of Andre. He comes home in April, March of 2014, and by January, February of 2015, they go for blood and go after John, so they can just steal his money. That, nothing more, nothing less. That was the only thing that they wanted, was his money. If he had no money, Joan wouldn't have left him an inheritance. If they knew he had no superannuation life insurance policy, even though they assumed that he did, which he didn't. But if he had no money to steal, they would have left him alone and would have left him out on the streets, because that's what they do. Sierra is the testament to that. If Sierra had lots of money, they all be flocking and locking her up like a dirty secret, keeping her under lock and key, denying her human rights just so that they could steal her money, because that's what these healthcare workers do. That's what these government workers do. And that's what the government does, because that's what the government protects. Okay? You don't think ShaMay wasn't aware of all this shit going on with her IQ? Of course she was, people. Of course she was. And when they took John, I don't know, she kind of snapped. There was a part of her that just gave up. I'm going to come right back. Hold on. Anyway. So yeah, she got her honors in school. She was up in the top 10 percentile. Right? Did most of her schooling at home. Most of it was self-motivated. Because, you know, she had a high IQ, people. That's why they smacked her. Because they wanted that cortisol going in her brain. Because they had bigger and better plans for her. It's just we weren't informed about that. Okay. We survived Andre. She got through it. Obviously, I mentored her through it. And then along comes, they kidnapped John. She offered to help the lawyer do whatever the lawyer needed to do so that we could get John back home. But because those demons didn't allow John to speak to the lawyer had to pull back. Because it was a fucking setup from the beginning, because the government protects criminal activity within their employees. They are purposely protecting Eleanor Gilding from what she's done to this family and other families, because she didn't start and stop just with John. She was well tuned, knew exactly what she was doing and how she was going to do it, and she did it. And the government rewarded her for it, people. And then they expect my family to sign up for their assisted suicide program because we're so depressed. We did it to ourselves. Yeah, okay. So anyway, when they took John, for all her motivation, wanting to go to college, wanting to be a nurse, she did go back to another college to upgrade on the science and the math so that she can enroll into a program to become a registered nurse. She wanted to go and be a pediatric surgery nurse because she had a high IQ, so she would have done it, people. But, she'd have to find her own way to get there, so she did go back to, to do the upgrade, and that's when Julian's sister enrolled herself into that school and started stalking ShaMay like Alana was stalking ShaMay. That's what I mean. ShaMay attracted stalkers. I don't know why, but she did. Alana stalked her, and Julian's sister stalked her. So much so that she registered into the same school that ShaMay was in. ShaMay came home and told me this girl was wandering the halls, following her around in the freaking halls. I'm like, well, just ignore her. Right? That's when the girl signed up to become a social worker, but then ended up getting caught selling weed, and then they kicked her out of the school. Something she won't tell you on her videos. ShaMay told me, though. So, she got what she needed, but she had to struggle through that, too, because they took John. And then, I don't know, she broke up with Freddie, and the McDonald's kind of phased out because she had been there for so long that eventually, because she had seniority within the company and she was working full time, she started qualifying for all their benefits. That's when she got that PAN thing through dentistry, because McDonald's paid for it. I told her not to get that. That's where they x-ray the whole jaw and all this, because they're looking to see how the molars are coming out. I told her not to do that, but she did it anyway. And to this day, I still think that whatever happened to her body at the Surrey Memorial Hospital when she was dead on their bed, they already had those images, and because they took out her teeth, people. You see, that's the thing. They took out her teeth. So I think that PAN that she had long before she was even dead played a role in it. I do. Because I don't trust these individuals for nothing anymore. I don't. I've seen too much. I've been through too much. My family has been through too much. And now they're asking us to sign up to their suicide program because we've been through so much. Yeah. As they accuse us of being freaking liars, but are willing to kill us because we're depressed. Yeah, okay. So, I'm kind of just rubbing that in. I'm rubbing it in your face, right? Because, people really need to stop and think what the motive is behind what the government's doing. Because it's not just the government. It's that organized religion in the community that will target certain families to keep them depressed, to keep them fighting, to keep that cortisol going by any means necessary so they can come in and continue with their agenda to harvest the bodies and whatever else they can harvest along the way as they do that, okay? So anyway, after they took John, I don't know, because when she was working at McDonald's, she got to the point where she had seniority, she was working full-time, she got all her benefits, but then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they started cutting back on hours, which started affecting her benefits, to which she ended up just said, to heck with it, I'm tired of serving 1,000 drug addicts a day, not to mention 1,000 average Joes just coming in for a hamburger, that's 2,000 people a day, to be jerked around and to lose my benefits after I worked all this time to have these benefits. So I think she ended up quitting from there, right? Because she just wasn't making enough money, because they just started doing that with almost everybody except for their cool crew, right? The cool crew kept their hours, but people like ShaMay and that crew, they were losing hours, right? And they started losing their benefits and all that. And then I don't know, she was having issues with Freddie, but that's when Julian's sister was stalking ShaMay. If she wasn't stalking her at that college, she was stalking her in Freddie's bedroom, you know, going to Freddie's house and worming her way into the bedroom, making sure she leaves tampons and hand cream and bobby pins behind, so that when ShaMay comes, she finds them, so that her and Freddie will fight and break up, so that that girl can go be with Freddie. Because these are all young people just on the rebound, bouncing off, making bad decisions, right? You know, while some are being the manipulators. Well, clearly the stalker was the manipulator, right? Because it wasn't just stalking ShaMay at that college. It got to be a lot more extensive than that, people. I already seen it with Alana. It happened with Alana more than once, right? I don't know what it is with these girls that zone in on other girls and just, I don't know, have a frickin' hard-on for them. So anyway, but, you know, they took John. She already went through Andre and, you know, bullshit with her sister. And, you know, I had to have her go downstairs instead of being in her room. So she was disappointed with that, but she still pulled in freaking honors at school. And she will still work full-time at McDonald's for over a year and a half. And, you know, and did everything that she was supposed to do. She went back to the college and upgraded on her math and her science so that she could become a registered nurse and then go into becoming a surgery nurse and so on and so on. And then they took John, and I don't know, she just kind of got rebellious, and she met Julian, and I don't know, because Julian first came in with the hammer, was, you know, a construction worker, hit his thumb, started crying on about how he was so disabled, tried to put in a disabled application in, it was denied, and then decided he was going to start selling drugs. But the thing is, people, he came to British Columbia, Canada, already selling fucking drugs. The hammer was just an excuse, just a charade. But by that time, ShaMay was already hooked in, right? In terms of, she had 3 boyfriends, that was it. She had her kissing boyfriend when she was 15. She had Freddie for 5 years, and then she met Julian. And when Julian came in, she thought he was a hard-working guy. Did that for a few months until he injured himself, hit himself on the fucking thumb with a hammer so he could go get long-term disability and not work as he's plotting and scheming how to sell drugs. Right? Everybody's suicidal because Uncle John's disappeared and we're all missing him and mourning his death. And not that he died, because he didn't die, but it feels like death. It felt like death when they took Andre. It felt like death when Sierra ended up like Sierra did. It felt like freaking death when Uncle John was medically kidnapped. I mean, how many times do you have to go through freaking death as a teenager trying to do the right thing? But you see, they want you having that cortisol so they can sign you up to their MAID program and help to kill you and solve your problems for you and make life better, because you're dead now and you don't even know now what life is about. And they'll start coming and asking you to do this when you're 12 years old without your parents' permission. Okay? Think about it, people. Seriously, think about it. When in doubt, look at my family and what we've been through. So, okay, right? Now, you know, I knew Julian was like, you know, working with a hammer, building things. And then, you know, I kind of got wind that he wasn't doing that anymore. And he was running around at night, late at night. And I said to ShaMay, like, what the heck is going on? Where is he going? Like, where is he working at this time of night, right? Because he's going to work. Well, what is he doing? He's definitely not using a hammer, because by this time, you know, he was trying to do his paperwork for his disability, all this shit. And I have that paperwork here, people. Right? And, oh, he works at IKEA in the warehouse. I said, oh, okay. Well, what am I supposed to say? Oh, right? So that went on for a few months. And then eventually I got her to spill the beans. Because I was getting suspicious, like, right? And it turned out that he was selling drugs. And I'm like, well, Jesus Christ, ShaMay, like, why are you allowing that to happen? Like, you weren't raised that way, like, you know, right? Never allowed anybody like that in the house, and, you know, right? Mom never did anything stupid like that. Like, you know, we got enough problems with Sierra. You know what drugs can do. Why are you allowing your boyfriend to sell drugs? Like, why are you with him? Not even about allowing him, but why are you with him? You need to leave him. Oh, well, you know, fuck the world. And this is what I mean. Her attitude changed a bit right after they took Uncle John. She felt so defeated and everything, you know, and just the whole 9 yards of it all. And, oh, you know, you're making money, and, oh, just make a little bit of money and everything will be all right. And I'm like, no, ShaMay, like, you know, you need to get rid of him, right? If he doesn't want to change his ways, you need to get rid of him, right? Nothing good's going to come from it, right? And so anyway, she battled with that. She struggled with that. And they didn't have a healthy relationship, that's for sure. They argued a lot, so they must have been arguing about that. And, you know, like, I tried to kick him out so many times, people. Eventually, I did get him out of the house. Eventually, I got him out. But he ended up worming his way back. You know, and then I already told you she was talking about aborting Amari. She already had 2 abortions that I'm aware of with Julian, so that would have been the 3rd one. And, you know, I'm against abortions all the way around, right? You know, I would have preferred her to keep the first baby that she ever got pregnant with, but she didn't want to be a single mom. She didn't want that stigma. You know, she wanted to be the professional, you know, responsible and a productive member in society. And, you know, that was really her mindset, and it all in line with her IQ, because she had a high IQ and she could have succeeded. But, you know, the public union sector, with their manufactured poverty and their poverty pimping and harvesting of body parts and everything else that they fucking harvest, taxpayers' dollars and misery and just the whole 9 yards, she never had a chance, people. She never had a chance. And if anything, honestly, looking back, when she was 2 and 3 years old, and especially with that woman in that freaking grocery store, like, I'll never forget how fast ShaMay reacted to this individual so intensely, enough so that ShaMay refused to let me bring her back to the buggy. She actually struggled because she wanted to go and scare that woman away. There was something about that woman that ShaMay seen that I didn't see. And it has something to do with her IQ. I know it is. It's something. Just like when she was, and she'd recite word for word before it was even said what was on that video. And I know for a fact she only watched that video like once, maybe twice, if that. I know it for a fact. And she was like 2, 3 years old. Like, it was amazing what she did. And then for her to grow up and, you know, I knew I don't know why I bought her piano. Maybe because I was at Long and McQuaid doing something, you know, with the parks. I was doing park events and those kind of things, right? So maybe I went to Long and McQuaid, I brought her with me, and she sat her butt down in front of the piano and was poking around at it. And I thought, well, there's an idea. I'll just buy you a keyboard piano, which I did, like a big, like it's an electric keyboard. It's a nice piano, right? And I did. I bought it, and it sat for a couple of years. And then by the time she was 12, after she came home from that bad situation with that school that, you know, used a native girl as an excuse to derail ShaMay from her education, basically, that's when ShaMay really kind of hunkered down and taught herself how to read and play music. And it would have been just a matter of time if she would have wrote music. You see, if Julian would have been a better boyfriend and encouraged her to write music, ShaMay would be a freaking pianist today. But that's not what Julian's agenda was. It was completely different, and ShaMay had no game. She couldn't pick up on it. And I don't know, I guess she felt that she had to stay in a bad relationship in order to prove something to frickin' Freddie that she could do it, or maybe she was trying to prove something to her girlfriends that she could stick it out in a bad relationship because she knew it was a bad relationship. She knew that she wasn't raised to be, you know, wheeling and dealing drugs, but she didn't know about prostitutes trying to bump other girls to become hoes and, you know, and bum rushing and all this. She didn't know any of that, right? All she knew is she thought that her boyfriend loved her. Yeah, okay, he didn't love her, people. He set her up and he killed her. That's what he did. He killed her 12 days before she even got out the door to go back to college for the second time so that she could work on becoming the nurse that the school system never helped her with from the first get-go, even when she was in freaking kindergarten. All right? And now they're offering people like ShaMay to kill themselves. Think about it, because they're so depressed because they didn't make the right choices in life. No, they made the right choices in life. It was the people around them that influenced them to fall flat on their face. That's what happened to ShaMay. As they send in their little stalkers. Yeah. And that girl's still stalking. I don't know why she just can't go have her own fucking kid. Seriously. I know why. Because if she has her own kid, it won't be long. Within 3 or 4 years, if not sooner, she'll lose her kid to social services. Because she's incapable of looking after a kid. Yeah. Yeah. Got that all figured out with that cousin. But for whatever reason, this girl seems to think she can still stalk me. Because she's got some obsession with Amari. Only one out of everybody. Yeah, okay. That's all it is an obsession, like that girl, that native girl. With that obsession with ShaMay. Trying to crawl in through the windows and shit. And stalking her at school and stalking her at the corner store. And that's what Julian's sister was doing. Stalked her at that freaking college. Right? And stalking her on YouTube. Even in death. So, you know, the way I see it like this, people, not every fetus makes it. Sometimes you have a miscarriage at different stages of pregnancy, and that's just life. Obviously, when they make it through and they're born and they got their 10 toes and 10 fingers and, you know, physically they look okay and, you know, everything else seems to be okay, you feel like you're safe. You feel like you accomplished something and that they'll make it now through life, that you got them through the hard part. That's what, you know, right? As a mother birthing another human being, you feel that you got them through the gate, right? But you know in the back of your mind, anything could happen at any time, at any age, for whatever reason. You know, some children are born sick. Some children, you know, get injured or, you know, are in car accidents or something, just whatever, right? You know, there is no fixed time for any of us on this planet, right? I mean, I myself rode off a freaking mountain and almost died. If I wouldn't have climbed out of that car any more sooner than I did, that thing would have blown up and I just would have burnt up in that car. That was when I rolled off a mountain when I was 25. I was pregnant with Sierra at the time. I didn't even know because I'd already miscarried on one baby, and a week later got pregnant with Sierra and went off, and I danced a gig up in the freaking Port Alberni area, which is like, we're talking mountain passes and all this shit. And I wanted to get home because, you know, blah, blah, the end of the week, and I didn't want to take a bus the next day. So I took a chance with this individual, and she was driving this little Pinto, you know, going down the mountain pass at 11 o'clock at night, no lights, nothing except what's on her vehicle, and she started to fishtail. Next thing you know, she yanks the wheel, steps on the gas, and down the hill, and rolling down the hill, all the windows smashed out, everything smashed out. By the time we stopped at the bottom of the freaking hill, we're talking a mountain pass, okay? You know, the car is smoking, the lights are blinking in and out, and I'm like, are you okay? She goes, yeah. Are you okay? I said, yeah. I said, well, we need to get the hell out of here. We climbed out of the freaking broken windows, climbed up the mountain, the car went poof! That was it. Puff! 4 minutes too late, I would have been dead. So, you know, it just wasn't my time. And then I find out I was pregnant with Sierra to boot. And then her father almost tries to beat the shit out of me. Beat her out of me. And almost succeeded. Then the only thing that saved Sierra was going home and eating liver for a month. Right? But even then, you know, Sierra came out with a learning disability because of all that crap that her father did when she was in my stomach. Because that, you know, dysfunction is embedded into the DNA, right? And these people that create dysfunction, injure and harm, they know that. That's why they do it. That's why they smack them when they're in kindergarten. That's why they accuse them of being wrong for standing up for their native friend, even though those people that penalize ShaMay for standing up for her native friend are the first ones to bend over and kiss the natives' asses so that the natives can have all that extracurricular activity in the schools. Right? So, just stupid shit. So anyway, ShaMay's dead now. Life would have been different if she was here, but she's not here. There is still no justice for ShaMay. There needs to be justice for ShaMay. So I'm not done working on that justice. But we know they're working on taking out that warrior by any means necessary. We know how they do it, people. So I don't know how much longer I'll be able to fight for that justice for ShaMay. But I haven't given up completely yet, right? I'm just taking care of what I think is the right direction to go in terms of if I can get down half of these into something that I've made, which is almost equal in calories but more organic, then I would really feel like I accomplished something. Right? Because if you can get them down to half, then you can work on the other half by supplementing these with, I don't know, food. I mean, obviously food, right? But, you know, it goes to that being, you know, with Amari getting constipated and stuff. So it's, you know, that battle isn't over yet, right? It'll never be freaking over. I don't know. So that's, I don't know what else to say about ShaMay. She was a hard worker. She tried to do the right thing. Right? She was above average. If anything, she was highly intelligent, was probably a genius. People didn't like it, especially the public union sector, because, you know, it would have been threatening to one degree or another. You know, it's hard to control geniuses. It's hard to control them people. And really, when you think about it, you know, all these geniuses back in the day, they all ended up dying suspicious deaths or whatever, you know, whatever it was that they developed or created or discovered, or like the light bulb and whatever, you know, I mean, like they all got robbed to one degree or another, like Tulsa, you know, that energy, that whatever, I mean, like that's some issue there that the government keeps under lock and key because they want you paying for a fucking hydro, and now they're making it where people can't even afford it, and they're going to be freezing, and they're bringing in, you know, the right to kill yourself. So what? You can't pay your hydro, and you're freezing. Your family's freezing. So what are you going to do? Sign up your whole family now? Well, we're all sitting in a house with no hydro, no lights, no heat, no way to cook food unless we go outside and, you know, maybe have a little fire. But for what it's worth, it's probably easier just to sign us up to, your Let Me Kill Myself program and let the taxpayers pay it as, to solve the problem. How many families need to sign up before people realize that it's the government that's the problem? It's the government workers, for the most part, that's the problem. It's the justice system that protects the criminal activity within our governments is the problem. Do you need 1 million families all signed up, dead and gone, before the other umpteen million realize that they're just next in line? I don't know. Right? I guess that's why Jesus just kind of walked around with his little backpack and didn't give a crap about anything, and lived his life until there was nothing left to live, and even then he was crucified. Right? As everyone's going around bragging about how much wealth they have, when it can be taken away from them just like that. So, that's about all I can say about ShaMay. She was a victim to her circumstances and to stalkers that had an ulterior motive on multiple fronts. Because I will end it on this. When they had ShaMay on that floor, that vinyl floor, and they needed a distraction to get me away so that they could hook up their perfusion machine before they put her dead body into a hammock with that perfusion machine, they needed Julian to start, ShaMay, ShaMay, so that cop could look at Julian, go like this, and then look at me and then say, yeah, you take him down the hall and you deal with him. And that's how they tried to sneak her body out in that hammock. But I know what was inside that perfusion machine, people. And I know that's not the first dead body in a hammock being carried out with a perfusion machine that Julian was involved with, because it was just way too smooth with what he was doing at that time. So how do you prevent those things? I don't know. I tried to save ShaMay. I tried to warn her. I scared off Julian on multiple occasions. My son was I had 2 sons roaming the yard trying to scare that bastard away. And he still wormed his way back in. He used the excuse that his mother's house got robbed and he couldn't hang out at his mother's house. He had to come here. No, he came here to finish the job that his sister started at his mother's house when ShaMay took the baby to go see that woman named Sonia. And once Sonia realized that Amari was injured for life and wasn't the perfect little boy, she abandoned him. Because deep down inside she has no feelings for nothing. Because I seen that just by the way she was treating my daughter. She treated my daughter like a half-black peckerwood. And anyone that's black and got any fucking game knows exactly what that means. A half-black peckerwood. Yeah, that's how she treated ShaMay. So it's no wonder her kids had the same kind of attitude. Yeah. So, this is what I'm going to focus on. Now, I do not need to order any kind of food substance. I will have more than enough to choose from to start combining to figure out what works best. I've already decided I'm going to make 2 different kinds for sure, maybe 3. Right? I'll give myself a leeway of 3 different types of drinks. So, that should be very interesting to see what happens over the next, we'll just say, 6 months. And so now that that's done, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm still dealing with shit when my son emptied out the basement. Right? I was washing light bulbs here. There's little light bulbs. He threw out a whole bunch of light bulbs. So I'm checking them, making sure they were okay, and they were, right? But it's just like, whatever. And the boxes that have to go out in the mail, they're over here. So that's my next big project in terms of whatever I do in a day, I do. But I'm going to be now focusing on finishing putting things in them and wrapping them up and getting them out in the mail. And then once those are out in the mail and gone and received, then we'll maybe see about that little auction just to see if it can even be done. You know, whether for fun or whatever, it doesn't really matter. I mean, what else can I do in life right now? Right? I'm stuck on a hamster wheel. Right? I am getting into paperwork now. I'm picking away at it. It's hard for me to see, so I'm like, don't stress yourself out with it. Just, if you take it in baby batches, you know, as long as you get through it one little at a time, it won't be long. It might take you a while to do it. It's obviously not like it used to be where you can actually sit there and read and write and, you know, and just, now it's like, if I try and write something, I'm writing like this because, you know, or I'm writing like this, I can't, you know, it doesn't, this eye is mostly blind now, so it makes it harder. And of course, everything's gray, so you don't see the ink as well. How long I'm going to live my life like that for, people? I have no clue. It's like, it's depressing. But not enough where I'd want to sign up to the government and give them what they want. Because you know they're going to pillage my body. And they'll disrespect my kids. And they'll abuse the rest of my family. More so. After the fact. Except for maybe those 1 or 2 workers that are like Uncle John and who deserve a real break. Right? In terms of don't broad sweep everybody into one big pile of rotten apples. Even though you got a whole lot of freaking rotten apples in the healthcare system and justice system and this system and that system. Anything when it comes to a fucking government. Yeah. They wanted half my family dead. That's exactly what they worked for, and they got it. Yeah, and they used the peons in the neighborhood, the idiots, just the wannabe players and wannabe hoes, and they use stalkers and just whatever. What else do you say about a dead daughter? A daughter that didn't deserve to die. I don't think Sierra deserved to die because she didn't deserve to die either. They both didn't deserve to die. And they both didn't deserve to be tormented while they were alive to the degree that they were tormented for. Yeah. So one day at a time. Next time I turn on the camera, I think I'm going to just cut to the chase because I have to make room for these jars as this stuff is coming in because I got to have this stuff available for me. I'm going to pull out those cast iron pans. That gives me a little room for these bigger jars. And then that's when I'll turn on the camera and we'll talk about cast iron pans. Right, because there might be one there that would be good for sourdough something, or cornbread. Not that I make cornbread, but you know I need to do something like that. Here's an idea. I wonder if you can boil up the cornmeal in with, because corn is high in calories. really high in calories. So maybe I can try some corn, even if it's cornmeal. I just don't know how many calories leach out when you're cooking it, right? Because you're not feeding him the fiber as you are the liquid and what's in it. But that's another alternative. So we've got the amaranth, we've got the Thai rice, we've got the chickpeas, we've got cornmeal now, basically, or corn. We've got the mulberries, the golden berries, the cranberries. I've got blueberries around here, raspberries around here. I got blackberries around here. I even got blackberries and juice and stuff, like homemade canned juice. I could do that. There's an idea. I like to think out loud. You know, I make my pot of whatever and just throw in a jar of blackberry juice. That would be good. But how do you calculate the calories and where do you get them from? Right. Anyway, that's the problem of the day. How do you get 350 calories in a cup and a half of something? Outside of maybe buying I don't know. You know those powders? Protein powders or something? I don't know.